transits, these rotational planets. Around these parts, we got high standards. Seeking the truth, wisdom at once. We're coming from the stars above. This is Moonday Tarot, the one and only Kelly Rokana. I hope you're ready for some giggles. And of course, we hope you got some wiggles. Strap in and get ready for some cosmic wisdom of ancestral understandings. Moonday Tarot. Bitch, it's Moonday.
Moonday Tarot. Hey. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. Yes. Moonday Tarot on a Tuesday. That's what's up. Whoa. Okay, I'm really loud. Okay, excellent. Good. I'm glad I'm coming in loud. Alrighty. What's up? Happy Monday. Hello, Heart of Aries. So my name's Kaylee. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The sequel. What's up? Welcome, welcome back, Kat. Yeah. So last night, as per usual, my usual jam, we went through a couple of the main transits of the week that's happening. This is what I do every Monday, by the way, if you're new here. Every Monday, I go through the astrology of the week, and then I go through each sign and I pick a specific transit to talk about. Of course, this is the week of the last the last full moon in Libra before the eclipses, so seemed pretty significant. We talked about that, talked about the full moon, and went through most of the signs. I like to go backwards. I start at Pisces and go to Aries, and of course, as soon as I got to Taurus, had some interesting technological difficulties. So we're back again. Alrighty. So this week, if you didn't catch last night, this week we have the full moon in Aries. Mercury is just ingressed into Taurus. That happened yesterday. And later in the week, actually on Monday, next Monday, we have the Jupiter Cazimi. I don't actually talk about gematria because that's not something that I study. However, if I had a guest on that that wanted to bring in some gematria, that'd be fun. Actually, I think that'd be really cool. Something else that I may look at today, if we got some time, is Trump's being indicted right now. So I'm curious what kind of transits he's got going on. So might take a look at that if we got some time. I'm actually just pulling that up in the background right now. But before I get into any of the like fluff stuff or anything else, I'd really like to just finish Taurus and Aries. You guys wait long enough as it is. So without any further ado, let us pull up the chart. And let's talk about what this full moon is going to mean for Taurus and then for Aries. And I got to change my banner. Okay, so if you're a Taurus rising sun or moon, and by the way, just for anybody that's new here, I'm a Western tropical astrologer. I use tropical. I lean much more towards. Fair enough, Kat. I lean a lot more towards traditional school systems. I've been studying a little bit more Hellenistic and traditional astrology. And that is definitely what I jive with. While I'm doing these predictions, I will talk about the houses using a whole sign house system for simplicity and for ease. Of course, your house system might look a little bit different, especially if you set your chart to Placidus or Porphyry or Regiomontanus. But don't panic. If you're more familiar with looking at your chart with one of those house systems, then I would suggest listening to. Well, you can get complex with it and listen to multiple signs to get the particular house placement that matches your chart. But honestly, whole sign will work. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, gematria is really interesting. It's really fascinating. I think there is a lot of coincidence, but I honestly just haven't studied it enough. Alrighty. So for Taurus rising especially, this full moon is actually happening in your 6th house. So you got the sun, it's been traveling through your 12th, full moon in the 6th on Wednesday. And by the way, the full moon is Wednesday night. So if you are in North America anyway, Wednesday night at 10:30 p.m. Mountain time. So that would be 9:30 p.m. Pacific, or 12:30 a.m. So that'd be on the 6th, 12:30 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. All right. So anyway, what does the full moon in the 6th house mean for you, Taurus? Well, I actually want to talk about this axis, right? The 6th, 12th house axis is an important one for our mental and our physical health, right? So having a full moon in the 6th house is often tied to our routines, the things that we do on a very basic, mundane, day-to-day level. It has a lot to do with our health, with our wellness in general. One of the biggest themes actually with the 6th house is service. So of all of the places that we look at in the chart to look at work, 6th house is one of them. The 10th house is where you're reaching to your career goals and how the public perceives you. The 6th house is the day-to-day activities that you have to do to maintain that work. You can also look at the 6th house as like your employees. So if you, Taurus, happen to be in the position where you have your own business and you're paying people, the 6th house is representing who you're paying. So it's kind of some fun stuff for you. But anyway, with the full moon in the 6th house, you could see some interesting stuff coming up in regards to, how your day-to-day routine is going. And maybe there's some kind of, especially since we're talking about Libra, perhaps there's some imbalance that might be causing you some like physical distress. And with a full moon, it can either exacerbate that or really just bring something to a head that helps you realize where you need to make an adjustment. Now, you've had a lot of planets, a lot of activity going on in your 12th house. Now, if you're a Taurus sun, like myself, I find that the month leading up to your birthday tends to be, for me anyway, I've noticed that I always want to be a little bit quieter. I always want to be a little bit more reserved. I tend to not want to go out. This is pretty typical when you have a lot of activity happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is, well, it's one of our hidden houses. We have 3 so-called hidden houses: the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th. The 12th house has to do with spirituality. It has to do with sleep. It has to do with our subconscious, the stuff that we don't know that we don't know about ourselves. It has been tied with like karma and our family lineage and stuff like that as well. But just to keep things simple, one of the main words you can think about when thinking about the 12th house is isolation, places of isolation. So when we have the sun going through our 12th house, or if the sun is transiting the house that's 12th from our sun, if you're a sun in Taurus, quite literally it can be we're trying to seek isolation, which is, it's not a bad thing. It's okay to want to recharge and recuperate leading up to the sun moving into your 1st house, when you'll be focused and filled with vitality and have a lot of energy. So it's like the quiet time before the sprout busts above the surface, right? There's a lot of activity going underneath the surface that we're just not aware of. So anyway, why are we talking about the 12th house? Well, the sun is still there, and the full moon is always activating both sides of the axis. We also have Jupiter here. We also have Chiron here. And there's a lot of stuff going on in your 12th house right now, Taurus. I would not be surprised at all if you're having a very active dream life right now. If you have stuff going on, literally, if you're either having vivid dreams or you're experiencing other types of sleep disturbances, pay attention to that, right? There's, as I was saying with all of the other signs last night, there is some really nice potential for really deep healing with the sun Chiron conjunction on this full moon. But really it's about, ultimately this axis is about my individuality and my autonomy and, very Aryan themes of pioneering and being on your own and being okay on your own and relationship. And how do we balance these two needs out? Because we need others, but we also need to be our own individual selves. So for this to play out on the 6/12 axis is really interesting. You might find yourself on one hand wanting to um, really dive into some of your main activities for the day, doing a lot of your routine stuff, but then also really wanting to just be alone and be quiet and be by yourself. Now, the 12th house can actually, on one hand, it can be. I'll give you both ends of the spectrum. Okay, when stuff's going through your 12th house, you can really just want to be spending more time in meditation or just literally isolating by yourself, but it can be a healthy isolation or it can be an unhealthy isolation, right? You can be literally just recharging, recuperating, sleeping a little bit more, or you could be drawn to escapism, right? So there's there's two sides to every house, basically. Very active dream life. What's up, Snake Jones? Hey, good to see you, brother. My brother from another mother. Now, I'm curious, do you have an active dream life all of the time, or have you seen it fluctuate in different months? Because that would be something that I would be curious to know. Okay. So anyway, Taurus, pay attention to your health, basically. Pay attention to that balance that we need to strike between being active and being out in the world, but also recharging. And give yourself a little bit of grace if, the month before your birthday, like me, you need a little bit of extra, like maybe a little bit extra sleep, or you need to make some kind of adjustment with your routine so that you can get the rest and the recuperation that you require. Really, just the last couple weeks. Word. Yeah, and anytime you notice a change in your dreams, I like to journal them. There's a lot of really valuable information that can be gleaned from your dreams. It's right. It's your subconscious trying to talk to you. Alrighty. So let's pull some cards for you, Taurus. What do we got? That is wild. Snake Jones says he had a 3-day long dream. Wake up, go back to sleep, and pick up the dream where it left off. That's pretty badass. I've only experienced that one or two times in my life. JLo's had turtles in her dreams. Interesting. Did you look up what turtles represent, or what do they represent to you? And Lovecraft style horror dreams sound interesting. I looked at Lovecraft's chart with Juan from the One-on-One podcast, Gabriel and Chance and Mario. It was a big crew. We looked at Lovecraft. That was lots of fun. Man, that dude was so racist. Okay. All right, Taurus, what do we got for you? Whoa. The World card right out the gate. Damn. That was pretty badass. It was probably one of my favorite ones. I was so nervous. I until that point I had never looked at a celebrity person's a quote unquote celebrity's chart and then talked about it publicly. So it was an interesting exercise. All right, Taurus. So the World card and then the Two of Cups. Now, with the World card, this is interesting. The World card often talks about endings and new beginnings. It's both simultaneously. There's something that you're also reaching a point of mastery in. So, one thing I will say about the sixth house that I didn't mention before is it often has to do with practice. Yeah, Kat. That particular podcast with the talking about Love Cat and Gabe is a gematria dude, so there definitely was some gematria in that episode. That will be found on the Innerverse podcast. And also Juan had it hosted on his podcast, the One-on-One podcast. So anyway, a couple different places you can find it. Anyway, back to Taurus. Apologies, Taurus, getting distracted already. So the sixth house has a lot to do with practice, right? Like I said, it's the stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis, the mundane, tedious things almost. Now, if we don't take care of these things, right? If we neglect these things, then that's often when health issues arise, right? So with the World card coming out, and this card sometimes being attached to the idea of mastery, there's something that you've been practicing, something that you've been doing on a day-to-day basis that you've been working really hard on, some skill that you've been honing. Cthulhu just wants a hug. Jenny, get out. Chalulu, we lovingly gave him a nickname. Anyway, there's something that you've been practicing, something that you've been working on, a skill that you've been honing, that is almost beginning to shine, like it's ready to be shown to the public almost. Maybe not quite yet, but you're definitely gaining mastery in this area. Now, paired with the Two of Cups, that's really interesting. This could be a skill that is psychic in nature, psychic or emotional or intuitive in nature, or artistic in nature. It doesn't have to necessarily be like literally like a clairvoyant skill. It could be you're an artist, right? It could be and actually what Taurus isn't an artist in some way, you know? But anyway, you're gaining a lot of mastery in this. And then we got Justice. So you're gaining mastery, learning some new skill, but also completing a cycle. And then, of course, the card for friggin' Libra comes out. So anyway, Lady Justice is here. So 21, 2, and 11. So lots of 2s and 1s. I have never seen a turtle in the wild up here. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, Taurus. That's interesting. It's like you've come to this point where you've reached this level of maturity where petty things, little things, it's almost like I get the sense of you're at the point where they're beneath you in a way. And it's like you're ready to move on. You're ready to move forward with more important matters, if that makes sense. Also, 11 in the chat while I'm talking about the 11 card. That's kind of cool. Justice is about being able to make a wise decision, being able to measure appropriately both sides with both wisdom and grace, wisdom and knowledge, being able to look at multiple sides of any situation and choose the most correct path forward. Oh yeah, word. So I don't know if there's something that you need to put an end to necessarily. I almost actually feel like you're almost finished with endings and now you're about to go on a bunch of brand new beginnings. Underneath the deck, we also have the Fool. I love that we got the Fool underneath. That's it helps give me a lot more context, that's for sure. So you need to trust in spirit right now, Taurus. especially with all of these major 12th house stuff going on as well. And remember, on Monday, we have the Jupiter Sun Cazimi. So take some time this week to, be, as Snake Jones just said, gracious with yourself. Allow yourself some time to rest, some time to be with yourself in your own energy field. Use good boundaries, right? Both the World card and Justice to me can speak of boundaries. Use some good psychic, energetic boundaries in order to get the rest that you need, because you're about to embark on a whole brand new adventure. Remember also that mid-May, okay, so your birthday month for most of you, Jupiter will be moving into your sign. So we're preparing right now for a major Taurus boost, okay? In addition to this, keep in mind as well that the eclipses will be moving this year from Taurus into Aries. So there will be no more eclipses in your sign after after this last cycle, all right? So you've been going through a major period of transition, of changes. There have been a lot of people that you've been meeting, connections that you've been making that have significant impact on your life. Yeah, me too, Jenny. I'm digging the noon vibe, actually. I like it. So anyway, there's significant people that have come into your life recently, like within the last year or so. These are connections that may or may not actually be very long lasting, but they're making a huge impact. There's a ton of new beginnings opening up for you, opportunities right in front of you that are ready for you to take. It's just that this month you might just need to like chill a little bit. Just allow the changes to continue to develop, right? It's like when you're cooking something in a slow cooker. This is perfect for Taurus. When you're cooking something in the slow cooker. Why do you put it in a slow cooker? You want the flavors to develop, right? If you're making stew, you can't just whip it together and put all the ingredients into your bowl, good to go. It has to cook together, right, for the flavors to properly develop. That's kind of what this feels like. There's more changes coming. They're going to speed up. But right now it's just about, like I said, giving yourself a little bit of space. Don't forget to breathe. Thank you, JLo. Don't forget to breathe, Taurus. And embrace the changes as they come, okay? Because there's going to be more. So use your discernment to say no to the things that you don't want so that you can say yes to the things that you do want, because there's more coming. So there you go. And by the way, after I've done these two signs, if you guys want a personal reading, definitely hit me up. Instructions are in the description box below. And I see that I still have my starting soon ticker. My bad. That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely have the energy for it today. That's for sure. But anyway, also one more housekeeping thing. Since we got eclipse season coming up, if you guys want to have a natal chart reading specifically about the eclipses, go to my website, kayleebricana.com, and when you go to checkout, enter the code eclipse20. It'll be active after I do this stream, and it'll be good for essentially the rest of the month. And I would be happy to look at how the eclipses will affect your chart. Okay. Just going to set this to Aries, and then we'll talk about Aries. Okay, so Aries, this full moon's happening in your 7th house. This is the house of relationships. As soon as you decide to work, please. That would be great. Okay. But anyway, so the main themes of this full moon are essentially me and you, right? Me by myself, my individuality, my path, my goals, my identity, and how I fit and how I act in relationship, and how my partner acts, how they are, what their goals are, what their ideals are, what their path is. Now, with Jupiter having been in your sign, right? Still there. He'll be there until mid-May. He's been whipping through Aries this year. It's been kind of fun, actually, to be perfectly honest. I've been enjoying the Jupiter Aries energy, but like, how have you guys been enjoying that? Personally, it's been a lot of fun. Um, but anyway, as Jupiter's been going through your first house, there's been a lot of expansion. You've been taking on a lot of new projects, new goals, maybe even totally changing the direction of your life for a little bit. Jupiter tends to bring literally that word expansion. So literally, if you're not taking care of your health, or if your routine is slipped, Jupiter transiting through the first house is notorious for causing the waist to expand. So just be mindful of that. Just be mindful of that. And if you are experiencing that, you're in Aries, so go like work out, right? But on a more spiritual or esoteric note, Jupiter moving through the first house can literally bring a sense of luck and a gracious sense of well-being. So I don't know, I think that's really, really nice. Especially Jupiter moving through a fire sign. Jupiter is said to have triplicity in fire signs. So it basically means that there's allies and friends and people that you can call on. You might have actually been learning a lot of really interesting lessons or meeting teachers at this time while Jupiter's been in your sign. So there's been a lot of focus on the self, which of course for Aries rising, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be focused on yourself and your own path and what you want. That's literally the Aries rising game, right? It's I am quite literally, and that's what you're meant to be doing. You're meant to be a pioneer. You're meant to do stuff for yourself, and not necessarily always by yourself, but definitely for yourself. And of course, with the full moon in your 7th house, this is a beautiful chance to check in. How are you in alignment or out of alignment with your partners? 7th house can be a marriage partner, a spouse. It can also be a business partner, or anytime literally you sign a contract. That's the 7th house. So are you honoring those contracts? Right? Ultimately, marriage at the end of the day is a contract. Are you honoring those contracts? Are you honoring those commitments, those things that you said that you would do together? Now, with Chiron involved in the full moon, there's this sense of healing actually that's coming up with this. It's like you want to make sure that, yes, you are owning up to and honoring those commitments to the other parties, right? To the other people that you've signed contracts with. And at the same time, honoring yourself and your own needs, which I know Aries doesn't necessarily have any issues doing, but for whatever reason, the culture that we live in today shames people for being selfish when really you're just taking care of yourself. So how does that land for you? How do you feel about that? And do you have any goals that maybe you need to recommit to yourself? And is your partner supportive of that? Oftentimes we can look at the 7th house in 2 ways. Okay, so we can look at it as this is how you show up in relationship. Some modern astrologers talk about the 7th house as excuse me, the 7th house as being like your shadow. Possibly, yes and no. I think that's true some of the time. In ancient astrology, in Hellenistic astrology, the 7th house is not you at all. It's actually just literally your partner. So I think we can look at it both ways. I think we can look at it both ways. So quite literally, you might actually see something play out for your partner, right? And this will directly affect you. But are you supportive of your partner? right? Are they supportive of you, and are you supportive of them? We've had a lot of energy focused on you for the last little while, but are you also in turn supportive of them? So these are questions to contemplate. Aww. Happy early birthday to your boy. That's sweet. Yeah. Full moon in Aries. That's right. Okay. So let's pull some cards for you. Aries. Yeah, Aries sun with a Libra moon is fascinating, and it's so fun to watch it, like to watch people express their astrology placements, okay? Like I have a bad habit of I don't know if it's a bad habit, but I have a bad habit of looking up somebody's chart and then being like, "Oh my goodness, you are so blank, blank, and blank." But I mean, we're more than that, so I try not to do that. But I can see with how Chance acts and with some of the stuff that he says and how he negotiates with people on his podcast and how he talks and communicates. I can hear the Aries moon come out all the time. It cracks me up. Oh my gosh. It cracks me up so much. Okay, so anyway, Aries, let's pull some cards for you. What do you got going on this week? That's so true. Yep. Yeah, Jenny, fair enough. Me too. I'm thankful when I get to talk astrology freely as well. It's a gift. It's a gift. Well, that was quick. Damn, Aries. Okay. I don't know if I need a third card. Shit. Okay, so we got Aries, we got Death, and we got the Hierophant. Are you ready for the eclipses in your sign? You're about to go through some potent transformations. Oh my god. 3 major arcana cards. What the fuck? Okay. Are you having like some issues with split personality type stuff right now? Like, what the hell's going on? All right, just kidding. I'm sorry. So Aries, we got the Death card. All right. We got the Hierophant and the World card. So Death, yeah, JLo, what the fuck? So the Death card represents Scorpio, the Hierophant represents Taurus, and the World card represents Saturn. So right out the gate, Aries, you've been watching your counterparts go through some really interesting changes. You're about to experience that as well. The upcoming new moon, right? The next new moon after this full moon will be on the 29th, actually the 30th degree of Aries, 29 degrees and 50 minutes, 50 arc minutes. The moon will roll over into Taurus, and then the sun a few hours later will roll over into Taurus. So this this eclipse coming up is actually right on that cusp, while the North Node is still in Taurus. Anyway, why does that matter? These 2 major arcana cards are connected to that, and it all matters, okay? There have been a lot of changes. Purging karma right now. Word. Fair enough. Yeah. The Death card can be definitely talking about purging, about getting rid of something that's toxic, about leaving behind something that's toxic that has not been feeling good to you. This triggers some kind of transformation. And then, of course, with the Hierophant, especially since this represents Taurus, I feel like it's really important for you Aries to get into your body. And I actually kind of feel like, I mean, technically speaking, this represents Taurus, but since it is a pope-like figure and you've got Jupiter in your first house right now, and like I mentioned, you could literally have been meeting with some kind of spiritual leader or some kind of teacher that could quite literally be representing them, being like, hey, what's up? I have something to teach you, something to show you. And there's something in that meeting, something in that. Have you ever met, have you ever met somebody where they have such incredible wisdom, such embodied wisdom, that just meeting them triggers like a cascade of events for you, and it opens up doors and new possibilities, and it opens up this whole new world that you didn't even know existed. That's what this is like. It's like you've met somebody or you've had some kind of encounter fairly recently, probably, or you're about to, right? Especially with that Jupiter Kazemi coming up on Monday, or you're about to, that totally transforms your world completely, right? And then, of course, let's not forget about the world card, endings and beginnings. Taurus just had this. Quite literally, we're heading into the eclipse window. Eclipses bring about sometimes events that are fairly crisis laden. Occasionally, we do have, disclaimer, all right, we have at least 4 eclipses a year on average. Sometimes we'll get 6, but they always come in pairs, right? It's always a new moon and a full moon. That's what an eclipse is, essentially. So not every single eclipse will bring about some kind of huge crisis and transformation. However, when they are on your 1st and 7th house axis, I can tell you from experience that they often will. There will be fated events, fated people, fated circumstances that show themselves. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Thank you, Jenny, for that. That's awesome. Anyway. When eclipses happen in your 1st and 7th house axis, which this full moon is not an eclipse, okay? However, the next new moon is going to be one. On the 29th degree, or the 30th degree, so 29 degrees and 50 minutes of your sign Aries, okay? So clearly the energy is coming out right now, so I got to talk about it. Not every eclipse is going to trigger something drastic, right? However, sometimes it does. And when it does, and if something is removed from your life or eclipsed out of your life, something new comes in always. It's meant to realign you onto your path, onto where you're supposed to be going, right? It's meant to take you and put you, you're welcome, buddy. It's meant to show you, the rest of the possibilities. Okay. The rest of the possibilities. I often find that when I go back and look at years where I had some really major events happen, it doesn't always line up exactly with an eclipse in an obvious way. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I can definitely tell you that I have had eclipses on the 1st house axis that completely changed my life. So this is nothing to be anxious or worried about. These are not negative cards by any means, right? The world card is actually really beautiful. It's about reaching mastery in something, major endings and new beginnings that are meant to happen. They're fated to happen. This card represents Saturn, the lord of freaking karma himself, okay? So literally, there's something that you're purging out, okay? There's some embodied wisdom that you're gaining, and there's a level of mastery that you're gaining because of this. There's a new adventure that you're being called upon, but there has to be some kind of ending first. So anyway, that's what I got for you, Aries. You got some pretty intense cards, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Underneath the deck, just in case you're curious, we got the 7 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles, so first of all, with the sevens, in the pip cards, the sevens to me always talk about some kind of initiation, some kind of challenge, some kind of test. Um, and with the pentacles in particular, basically, I see this card as a call to um, prepare for the unexpected. There's lots of things that you can do to help mitigate unexpected events, right? Like there's many things that you can get for yourself to cover the basics in the case of any kind of an emergency. For example, it's on my mind right now, so so I'll talk about it in that way, right? So let's say you have a job that has a variable income. Every single time you have a good month, you should be putting stuff to the side for the months that you don't have as good of a month, right? Um, I personally like to buy like extra, a little bit extra like canned goods or whatever, something that's gonna last that I will have just in case something goes wrong and I don't have the means to get those things, right? This is what the Seven of Pentacles is to me. It's talking about the long-term game. You're not just focused on right now, which I know, Aries, this might be difficult for you. We're not just focused on right now. Um, there's so much more to look ahead, to look forward to, right? There's so much more that you can think about other than just the moment right now. I'm not saying this so that you're anxious, right? I don't want to induce fear at all. I don't think that that's helpful. So if you're looking at these eclipses coming up and you're like, oh fuck, if you're anything like me, okay, personally, I will look at the astrology and then worry about it, but I can't actually do anything about it. But what you can do is you can make small adjustments, make small changes, and just every month do a little bit extra, have a little bit extra set aside, right, for the the test when it comes. Okay, the test when it comes. All right, so that's Aries. Damn. I hope that was worth you waiting the whole day for. Man. Yeah, calm is nice. I don't think we're gonna get calm for a while, personally, but you can always, I think one of the biggest challenges and lessons of Saturn and Pisces is how to find calm for yourself inwardly, right? Pisces is a water sign, therefore it is inherently about going in. Let me just pull down my banner here real quick while I talk about Saturn and Pisces. It is inherently about going within. Pisces is about the journey within. The journey within to connect to the Akashic records, or literally just to find stillness amidst a storm, right? Literally, you got to roll with the punches. So, quite literally, that's a great way to put it. So, while Saturn is in Pisces for the next few years here, anything that's going on externally is really, at the end of the day, a reflection of how unsettled we are internally. So a big lesson I think that Saturn and Pisces is going to teach us is how to find calm amidst the chaos, right? And maybe that means you need to disconnect from the things that are causing undue stress, right? A little bit of stress is actually really healthy. We need it in order to fucking get our ass out of bed. We need a little bit of that to help motivate us, to get us to do the things that we don't really want to do. But there is a certain amount. I think it's really important for us to be discerning. There's a great Saturn word for you. Discerning about what kinds of things we take in, what kind of news we feed our minds with, what kind of media we feed our souls with, and being really discerning about this will be another big Saturn and Pisces thing. But anyway, you're welcome, dude. That's a lot of crazy cards. Word. I like that. Yeah, I love you too, buddy. Okay, so speaking of news, speaking of news, just want to pull up a couple of things with this chart here before I show it to you guys. Also, gonna check my email real quick. Again, if you want a personal live reading, you know what to do. Okay. So Trump is in a Sagittarius and Jupiter year right now. Okay. So let me bring this up. Is there a best card to have? I like the sun. Maybe the 9 of Cups. I don't know. I think it depends on what kind of situation you're in. You know, what kind of stuff you're dealing with. Okay, so this is Donald Trump's chart. All right, this is his birth chart. It's been given an AA double rating, meaning that it is considered to be accurate, or very accurate. Likely they had birth chart in hand, or birth certificate in hand. So that's kind of cool. He has a pretty badass chart. He was born with his ascendant conjunct Regulus with Mars right there. That is very powerful. And then then he was actually born on a friggin' eclipse. You see that? So there's the north node with the sun and Uranus, and there's the south node with the moon. So quite literally, this was a full moon lunar eclipse when he was born. So freaking badass. But sun in the 10th house with Uranus in the north node, this accounts for a lot of his public image, how it's very shocking and jarring to a lot of people. And he also plays this trickster archetype like to a freaking T. Oh man. He does a lot of things that are very unexpected. Yeah, that's personally, as a Canadian, it's fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun to watch from up here. I'm less I'm impacted by it less, so therefore it's fun. Okay, so anyway, so right now, literally as we speak, he is being arrested, and I was just curious to see if we could see that just in the transits alone. If we could see whether or not he was going to go to jail or something like that. So, yeah, totally, right? Like, for example, let's say you're in a situation that really fucking sucks, okay? And it needs to end. Therefore, a good card to get would be like the 10 of Swords, because you need that situation to end, right? So it totally depends. It completely depends. Okay, so anyway, here's this chart. Here's the transits that he's experiencing right now. So first of all, when we had the Mars retrograde, Mars went to 8 degrees of Gemini, went up here, stopped at 25 degrees, and then went back to 8 degrees and then back again. So Mars was going back and forth over through his 10th house, connecting with all of that stuff. So that was interesting. And we actually saw, as Mars was turning direct, he was suddenly let back onto a bunch of different platforms. So he was allowed onto Twitter, he was allowed onto Facebook, a bunch of stuff got lifted for him, and he was allowed to be public again. Or be in the public again. What's kind of interesting right now is Venus is super visible as an evening star. So she's very, very powerful. She's at home in Taurus at the moment, and she's about to make a connection with his MC. So the MC in your chart talks quite literally about your public persona, your public image. So both the 10th house as a whole, but the MC specifically is a very sensitive degree. So as Venus is connecting with his MC, it's actually going to make him look better in some way, right? Venus has this effect in the 10th house, especially in Taurus. Damn, it has this effect in Taurus. In the 10th house where it literally makes you look good to the public. So there's literally something about this arrest and whatever that is somehow going to make him look better. So that's interesting to contemplate. Yep. So Saturn has just moved into his 7th house. So that's interesting. 7th house is among other things other than just spouse. Can be talking about open enemies. Saturn moving into the 7th house like this is kind of like has always had a lot of open enemies, right? That's not a secret. That's a fairly well-known thing, right? Saturn moving into the 7th house for him has been kind of like just almost like exasperating it. So anyway, that's kind of interesting. Now Saturn moving into your 7th house, essentially, when you got a Saturn transit through the 7th house, just ask any Leo rising. It doesn't necessarily dissolve partnerships. It doesn't always do that. It doesn't necessarily break things up. Sometimes Saturn in the 7th house can actually bring about a renewal of commitment, a stronger commitment, like a more concrete contract. Right? It does. It does make sense, right? Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Can you? He's like, he's so freaking disruptive. That's a good question. See, that's what makes me ask questions, okay? Why am I supposed to hate him? Why am I supposed to hate him? What exactly has he said or done that is supposed to inspire hate? As soon as the media tells me that I have to do something, I get really suspicious, especially if it's a unified voice over all media that's saying, no, you have to hate this person. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then I start asking questions and looking a little bit more deeper and reading transcripts rather than just believing what the thing is saying. JLo, you got a lot of questions, girl. Hold on. You got a lot of questions, girl. Hold on. The vertex in and of itself doesn't do anything unless there's something on top of it. And even when we experience transits to the vertex, it doesn't necessarily activate anything. It's considered to be like a quote unquote second descendant. It's actually the point of the zodiac that was due west at that moment. So it is an interesting point. But anyway, so Saturn moving to the 7th house is kind of interesting. There's going to be contracts for him that will strengthen and other contracts that will dissolve. So that'll just be something to watch. Now, this is an interesting aspect. Neptune and a super strong trine to his Venus. That could be really helpful for him. So Venus in his chart rules his MC, right? Because Venus rules Taurus. And Venus also rules his 3rd house cusp. So that's right here, this line here, the 3rd house cusp is there in Libra. So Venus, while in the 11th house, is talking about the groups that he belongs to, his long-term goals, dreams, hopes, wishes, and like his long-term investments. Anytime you got Venus and Saturn together, by the way, that's a person that's really good with money. Saturn has the effect of like restricting Venus a little bit, so they're less likely to spend on frivolous stuff. But when they do spend on quote unquote frivolous stuff, it tends to be something that's going to generally appreciate in value. Yeah, they're definitely not a spendthrift, right? When they've got that kind of an aspect of the chart. Okay, so anyway, Venus ruling the third house of like marketing, neighborhood, speech, that kind of stuff, and then Venus ruling career, his goals, his reach, his public persona. That's kind of interesting. Saturn connecting with the planet that rules his public persona. That can be another thing that makes him generally hated by some people. People don't like that Saturn energy, but appreciated for his traditional values by other people, right? So a little bit of love hate, definitely. Okay, so anyway, that trine to Neptune is kind of interesting to me. Trines are supposed to be a positive aspect. It's supposed to be something that's helpful and harmonious. Coming from Neptune, it's adding like a dash of Hollywood, a dash of glamour, a dash of dare I say spirituality. It's really weird to think of that word in Donald Trump, but I can't really judge. I don't actually know the man, right? And this is the dangerous part. Not necessarily dangerous, but the tricky part about looking at a celebrity's chart is I don't actually know the person. I only see I only see their 10th house, really. We only see their 10th house. We don't know what they're actually like in private. We don't know how they treat people in private. We only know what other people will say. So we only get one side of the story. And it's usually a fairly distorted side of the story. So keep that in mind, especially when we're talking about Neptune, right? So Neptune can be very nebulous, can be very foggy, it can be all about illusions. And yes, it is a trine, so it is a helpful thing, but it's almost like, I don't know, it could be really helpful, or it could be, like it could be really helpful for him actually, because it's like there's something else behind the scenes going on that we will never know about. Is he? I don't know. I know he's turning himself in, so to speak, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's taking responsibility for anything. Okay, so anyway. And at the same, okay, so we got actually a double Neptune thing going on. So we got Neptune trining Venus, and then we got Mars squaring his Neptune. So that's fascinating. Okay, so this is a fairly brief transit. It's not going to be going for very long, but it's like actions that are going on or occurring because of other people. So Mars transiting through the 11th house, it's like some kind of organized group or large organization, literally, is taking action, Mars, and that is directly affecting his Neptune. Now, Neptune is not a personal planet. Neptune is a generational planet. It is more likely that this is just adding to the narrative of confusion and fog and illusion. So it's like some of these actions that are being taken by other people in organizations that are connected to Trump. Wow, second house. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're talking about he's being arrested because of some hush money, right? Something like that. Neptune in the second house. That's really interesting. Not making any I'm gonna try to not make any specific comments about whether what I actually think about that, but what I will say is uh, if everybody that paid off somebody else to keep quiet, there's a whole lot of people that should be in jail. Okay. Okay, anyway. The Mars square Neptune's kind of interesting. It's interesting that it's happening during uh, a double Neptune whammy. Neptune moves so slowly that this is going to be in a trine aspect for quite a while. And actually, something else that I kind of thought of just now is this kind of an aspect to the planet that rules the MC could definitely inspire like cult like or spiritual type followings. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. So that's interesting. The eclipses have been on this axis on his 4th, 10th, and 9th, 3rd axis. So that's been fascinating to watch play out with dramatic rises and falls in his public perception and just him being in and out of the public eye. Now, honestly, if he were about to go to jail, I would expect to see his sun or his moon be aspected really heavily by something, or something being in his 12th house that is like a very obvious, like you're going to jail kind of thing. And I'm not seeing that. So 12th house Placidus, the cusp does fall in Leo, so I would be looking at the sun. And there's nothing aspecting his sun right now. Neptune was squaring his sun, but it has been separating from it for quite a while. So that's a nothing burger. Yeah. Now traditional astrology would say this whole Leo thing is his first house. And I'll just show you. This is the first house and this is the 12th house, Cancer. Therefore moon, based on traditional rulerships, would be the 12th house lord. So I would look for what's in Cancer right now and what's happening with this moon. So we do have Mars moving through Cancer, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to jail. Now Mars is a quote unquote malefic, so there's definitely some action going on there. And Mars is considered to be in fall in detriment in Cancer. And what that basically means is Mars can't perform as well. But I mean, when it comes to the God of War, do you want the God of War to always be performing perfectly well? You know what I mean? Not necessarily. So so that's okay. But yeah, Mars in the 12th house doesn't necessarily mean jail. It just means that there's action playing out through hidden enemies, by hidden enemies. The 12th house, traditionally speaking, is considered to be like the results of your enemy's actions. So literally this is like hidden sabotage, right? But it's not so hidden because we're seeing it play out on the world stage. But that's one way to look at it anyway. And then the moon, there's Jupiter is applying and trine to the moon. So I'm going to say right now that I don't think he's going to jail. Jupiter trining his moon and aspecting his nodes, he's not going to jail. No fucking way. And I'm not saying that because I don't want him to go to jail. I'm saying that based on the astrology. Yeah. No, there'll be something where some information comes out, or they're just not able to hold him because they don't have the evidence or something like that. There'll be a lucky break, so to speak, where he's not going to jail, basically. And yeah, Nicholas, what up? Yeah. Gordy. Yeah. Yeah. Word, dude. What's up, Gordy? Good to see you, my brother. Hey, hi, everybody. Yeah, I did Taurus and Aries, and I figured I'd, since Trump is apparently being arrested, I figured I'd pull up his chart to see, like, do I think he's going to jail or not? I just did this on the fly. I didn't really plan to do it. I was just looked at the news and like, I wonder what's going on with this chart right now. So we're pulling it up and I'm looking at it live. Yeah, personally, in short, I think that there's definitely some shady stuff going on, some stuff from specifically hidden enemies. Now, the 12th house can also be the place of our own undoing. So if this were somebody that I was sitting with and they were like, hey, I'm going to be arrested later. there's certain things that I wouldn't have said to them, okay? There's certain things that, because this is a celebrity that I don't know and this is like a little kind of a live reading, I wouldn't necessarily say that to a person one-on-one. But if this was somebody in front of me and they asked like, hey, is this gonna stick? And they're like, no, I didn't do it, or whatever. What would I say to them? I would tell them, yeah, I would speak about the Venus and the Jupiter stuff that I already talked about. Venus on the 10th house is going to make you look good in front of the judge, and Jupiter aspecting Moon and nodes is going to be like, retain a really good lawyer. Make sure that you retain a really good lawyer, and somebody that's going to fight for your individual rights. Like, let me pull this back up again, okay? Trump, he has too much money to go to jail. 100% exactly right. Okay, so anyway, I would talk about how Jupiter in Aries is assisting people right now with backing up their individual rights, right? Aries is about your individuality, your bodily autonomy. I personally assign to Aries, and Jupiter there, I think we've seen some interesting some pushback in some places, but some victories in others regarding our individual choices, right? And our individual rights. That's Jupiter and Aries to me. And with this, in an applying aspect, applying meaning it's not exact yet, but as Jupiter's moving through Aries, it will be exact. It's coming up soon. That's what applying means. It's not exact yet, but it will be. I think that's really positive for Trump, right? It's going to assist him, especially if he is able to land a good lawyer. Yeah, I would give a subtle warning about the Mars square. Like, you might be experiencing some stuff now, but don't engage in self-sabotage, right? So as long as he doesn't sabotage himself somehow, I think he'll be okay. Whether what people personally feel about the man, honestly, I'm not factoring that in to the astrology. So anyway, interesting stuff. We'll see how it actually plays out, and whether he actually does land in jail and it's permanent or not. So that'll be interesting. So that's my prediction. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he has too much money to go to jail, but I also think that yeah, there'll be like something last minute or something something last minute, or he just he'll be able to challenge it in some way. Okay, so anyway, you're gonna send this to Donald? Who what? Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that was fun. Fun. So yeah, if anybody wants a tarot reading, I am down. I'm just hanging out today, really. What else do you guys want me to look at? I can look at some other stuff. That was just for fun. That was for me, basically. Yeah. What's up, Gordy? I like that. I'm at work listening. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Yeah, so next Monday I'm going to be streaming at noon rather than 7 p.m. So noon Mountain Time, Stacy, not Pacific. I live in Alberta, right? So Montana time if you're American. I figure the noon time will be better for me for a few different reasons, but it's cool that some of you guys can just listen while you're at work. So that's really fun. Yeah, yeah. What else? What else? What? Stacy, you're doing your last day of work. That's awesome. Oh, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you could. I'm glad you could vibe with us. We be vibing. That's sweet. Okay. Yes, some people end up. It's like it goes too late, and some people have to leave before the end, or I start getting tired because it starts getting late here, and also, I like having my evenings, so I want my evening back. What else do you guys want me to talk about? We got some time here. Biden. Oh, yep, we can do that. His birth chart is crazy. All right. This motherfucker. I'm gonna try really hard to not let my personal opinions influence this. It's gonna be difficult. Going into a reading, if you have a bias already about someone, it can be very difficult to be fair while reading the chart. So that is something that I'm just going to acknowledge right now. I personally have a bias, definitely, regarding Biden in particular. So I'm going to do my best to be fair while talking about his chart, but honest. Like my teacher showed us the chart for Fauci, and didn't tell us who it was. I actually figured it out before he told us who it was. I figured out who it was, but he's like, yeah, not knowing this person, what do you think of their chart? And we just started talking, and then I was like, oh, I know who it is. Fuck that guy. So much Scorpio. Yeah. You work on Mondays, Nicholas? Can you listen like during the day? Yeah, I don't know, J-Lo. We will see. Oh God, no, he's the worst. Oh man, it's like he's got a Scorpio sun in the 12th house. So at least with Trump, his sun is very visible. With Biden, it's very hidden. So it doesn't want to load. Sorry, hon. I'm working with Wi-Fi and I'm sharing with other people. So it's just hang out with me for a minute here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, fair enough. You need to be paying attention to your surroundings if you're doing that kind of work. Understandable. Okay, here it is. Yeah, Stacy, it's really cool that you're able to access that empathy. All right, so this is Joe Biden's chart. So he has Sun conjunct Venus in Scorpio in the 12th house with Mercury and Mars all in the 12th house. He has Uranus right on the descendant, and he was born a few months after the Saturn-Uranus conjunction in Gemini. He's got Moon in Taurus, and actually, I think that is an exalted moon. Oh, it's close. I mean, Moon is considered to be exalted in Taurus, but there's a specific degree. It's like the second degree. So he's a degree off from the exact exaltation. Jupiter is considered exalted in Cancer as well. So he's got two planets in their exaltation. Venus is in fall in Scorpio. However, Mars rules Scorpio. So he's got like one planet in domicile, two planets in exaltation, one planet in fall. So a little bit of a mixture. His MC lands in Virgo. And yeah, this is fascinating. So Sagittarius ascendant, okay? So Sagittarius ascendant is like, and actually I should look at the fixed stars too. But anyway, Sagittarius ascendant is like, this is an individual that craves freedom, craves adventure, needs some form of philosophy in their life, whether it, is a... Nope, I'll keep that comment to myself. Shush, Kaylee, shush. But anyway, all this hidden stuff is wild to me. I cannot believe that these people have their charts available for people to look at. But obviously, they don't believe in astrology. Well, this person anyway probably doesn't believe in astrology, or is super deep into the esoteric and super deep into the hidden stuff, because he's got so much stuff in this 12th house. So again, 12th house is places of isolation, the things that become our own undoing, secrets, hidden stuff, hidden agenda, hidden motivations, but also the results of our enemies. So lots of stuff going on in the 12th house for Joe Biden. But literally his big pieces of his a big part of what brings him vitality, right? What brings him energy is hidden in Scorpio with Venus opposite Uranus. Oh my God. Woo. In a square to the nodes too. Look at that. You see that? Boom, boom, boom. Square the nodes. Damn. North node on Chiron. Okay. Ay. So if I didn't know who this was, all right, this is a good exercise. If you didn't know who this chart was, I would say that this person has been striving to find their own identity, right? And needing to go into isolated, foreign, far away places in order to find the things that help him feel alive, that help him feel like he's energized, or they need to engage in things in the dark, things that are hidden in order to feel energized and alive. Some of this is straight up karma playing out. Like quite literally, when you have planets in a square to the node, evolutionary astrology will say that those planets, they call it a skip step. It's an interesting concept. I'm still playing with it personally, but it's an interesting concept, a skip step, where it's like these planets, the themes of the planets, the lessons that come with them, it's like you skipped those or didn't pay enough attention to those in a past life, and now you're like being forced to work through them. So that's a thing. And then, of course, the 12th house is very karmic in general as well. So quite literally, he's got a hidden agenda, literally. So that's fun. Yeah. Cycles of abuse can be stopped. Yes. Cycles of abuse can be stopped, and it's not my job to stop them for somebody else. Okay, so I want to see transits. So anyway, just real quick, like we just had all these eclipses on this axis, right? His 12th, 6th house axis. When we're talking about physical and mental, spiritual health, like eclipses on this axis for someone that is already not doing too good, and then, they're already declining, and then to have eclipses on top of all that stuff, it's like, ooh, it's rough. It's rough. Current transits, there it is. do 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 do. Zoom back in. Damn. All right, so it's got Venus opposing his Mercury right now. Saturn is squaring his Uranus at the moment and has just passed over his south node. Yo, Saturn moving over your south node is a big draining and a release of karma. It can also bring up past events, past past situations, past life stuff that you need to work through and deal with in this lifetime. Look at that. Nodes on the 29 and on 29 degrees. That's crazy. Okay, but anyway, Saturn squaring Uranus is like, I mean, we experienced the energy of Saturn square Uranus in transit all of last year. It was extremely disruptive. We had very long time institutions, solid structures and foundations coming up against extreme disruption and new technology and innovations, and the dichotomy of the two and how they don't really fit together, but one being disruptive to the other and vice versa. And the Saturn Uranus aspect can also be about like breaking free from something. Uranus is like the great liberator. So it is the impulse towards individuation. So Saturn squaring your own Uranus in your chart is like, well, this is what you want to do. You want to do all these wild things, but Saturn restricts that. So there's this little bit of a duking it out, a battle. Fair enough, Nicholas. Fair enough. And yeah, it was a trip. It was a really interesting trip to look at his chart. I tend to shy away from looking at the charts from, literally evil people. Like, I don't like looking at like serial killer charts and shit like that. But at the same time, it's worth the study. So yeah. Okay. So anyway. So having Uranus raid on the descendant is fascinating to me. It's like, the people that he goes into contract with, right? That's the 7th house, is the other people that we contract with, are in some way very disruptive themselves, or rebellious themselves in some way. And Saturn having just moved over his south node and then now squaring that Uranus, it's like now there's like almost like a price to pay for that. Like I get the image in my mind of like, pay up, sucker. Like, and now you're going to pay the consequences. Or now it's like, now I got to take responsibility for something that some contracts that, I know, Uranus, no planet is necessarily bad or good, right? It's what we do with that with that energy. Oh gosh, he's got Pluto squaring his moon. Yo, this dude is going through some really difficult transits. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of feel bad. Pluto squaring the moon. So this is another really slow moving thing. Pluto's going to be on that 0 degrees Aquarius until June, and then he'll be back in Capricorn for the rest of the year. So we're just getting a small taste of Pluto in Aquarius. But when you're going through a major Pluto transit like this, like Pluto literally exactly squaring your moon, it can bring about some really interesting transformations. Things that have to do with the mother wound, and that's his 8th house ruler, damn. Things that have to do with your own mother wound, your own sense of like self-nurturing. You kind of reassess all of those things. And stuff that was toxic that you were telling yourself or feeling tends to come up in order for you to purge it. And the idea is to purge. So that'll just be, I don't know, that'll be interesting to see if he's able to do that, or if it if he's able to do that, or if it's too much. And then we got Mars transiting through his 8th house now. It's literally right on the cusp as we speak. Damn, that's a lot. That's a lot for one person to be going through when there's 70 something and already senile. Like, damn. Anyways, that's Biden's chart. Interesting stuff. Do. Fun, right? Fun. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, anybody else you guys want to look at? While you got me. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that was a nice little detour. Um if anybody would like me to look at their chart real quick, I'm also interested in doing that. But you got to be okay with me looking at it live. Alternatively, I'm gonna just hang out. Oh yeah, Nicholas, you know what? We could definitely do that. We can look at it from your sun sign too, and that'll still be, you know, it won't be as accurate, but it'll still be pretty bang on. But if you want like specific timings for things, then you got to look at the we need the birth time. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Yo, Stacy's brave. She's like me. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Shannon, what's up, Shannon? Yeah, I'm down. Do a quick demo of how the next eclipse is gonna roll through your chart, or this full moon, I think. Might be more appropriate. As soon as it loads. Oh my gosh. I'm paying for my own internet. This is ridiculous. So yeah, we're just hanging out. Taurus and Virgo. Sorry, oh my gosh. Taurus and Aries were done really quickly. So I'm just hanging out with you guys now. I'm cool with that. Alrighty. Okay, who wants to go first? Let's do it. September 5th. Nicholas, what year were you born? In what city? What city? Ogden, Utah. Oh, cool. Ogden, Utah is at 111 West. That's neat. I like it when there's fun numbers in the coordinates. That's fun. Okay, just give it a sec. It's loading. There it is. Okay, cool. Let me show you. All right. So what's kind of cool on Astro-Seek, there's an option where you can click unknown time and it'll put it on an Aries wheel, and then it'll show you the range of where the moon was that day. So depending on what time you were born, the moon moves an average of 13 degrees a day, an average. So when it's farther away from the earth, when it's closer to Lilith here, it moves slower, so more closer to 12 degrees a day. When it's closer to the earth and it's opposite Lilith, it'll move up to 14 and a bit. I think it can go up to 15 degrees. I'm not positive on that though. But anyway, so what's cool about it is so if you were born from like midnight to like 1 a.m., moon could have been in Scorpio, but the rest of the day moon was in Sagittarius. So this is why your birth time really matters, especially when looking at the moon, because the moon moves so friggin' fast. You could be either of these moon signs depending on what time of the day you were born. So that's significant, right? Moon in Scorpio is very different from moon in Sagittarius. So this is why it matters, right? So what you could do to help narrow that time window down is what I would suggest actually is to even if mom doesn't remember the exact time, you could ask her questions like, was it daytime or nighttime? Right? Sometimes that's easier to remember. Like, no, it was definitely after supper. Right? Ask about like certain things like that. Like, did labor begin before supper, after supper? Was it the middle of the night when you were done? Or, but sometimes mom's memory can be a little bit tricky because, nowadays we get drugged. we get drugged before we have a baby. Right? So memory can be fuzzy. Plus it's a super traumatic event. There's a lot of chemicals rushing through the brain. So anyway, so a couple tips for you, right? Look up moon Sag and moon Scorpio and see what one lands more for you. And also ask your mom like before supper, after supper, and that can help narrow it down quite a bit. Now if it was like after supper, but you weren't born until like midnight, that could be a little bit different. So so that'll be fun. Anyway, you've got a ton of stuff in Libra. Look at that. Damn, dude. So yeah, Sun in Virgo, that. Moon possibly in Sagittarius, possibly in Scorpio. Got to kind of look at each of those. If moon was in Scorpio, it was right on top of Lilith, right next to Uranus, which is fascinating. Both of these, that's a planet, that's a point. Both of these talk about the need for fierce independence, right? So if your moon was in Scorpio, it was also being heavily influenced by both of these. And even in Sag, it's still being influenced a little bit, depending on how far away it was, but really interesting. So some really fierce independent energy there. But then all of this Libra stuff, right? Ton of Libra stuff. Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and Pluto all in Libra. Damn, dude. That's powerful. Relationships. The theme of relationships is a big one in your life. So sun, moon, rising, very important. And anywhere else where you see a stellium, this is definitely a stellium. A stellium is 3 or more planets or points. Most astrologers count only planets. Some include the nodes. Some say 3 planets, some say 4 planets. Regardless, that's 5, so it's a fucking stellium. So anyway, the archetype of Libra is really important in your life. Like majorly so. You were born right after the Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Libra, which was actually the first Jupiter Saturn conjunction in air signs. It was Libra, and then I believe it was I think it was Taurus and then Aquarius, and now we're in all air signs for the next 200 years. But before that last conjunction here, which was right on top of your south node, actually, before that last conjunction in Aquarius, it was in Libra first. Okay, so anyway, big themes. Right now you've got Pluto sitting right on top of your south node, so that's interesting. Hold on, let me pull up transits for you. Where do I see that? What? Progressed. Am I friggin' blind? Oh my gosh, it's right there. Sorry. My bad. You were mama's biggest baby? That's badass. Oh, she just answered you? Yo, 10:14 p.m. Yeah. Sweet. Yes. Yes. Shout out to your mama. Okay, so go back and edit birth data, close that. That's fun. Cool. We're gonna learn your rising sign together. 10:14 p.m. Okay. 10. I like that she has an exact. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, 10:14. All right. Boom. Oh, whoops. Shit. I don't want no houses. I want accurate houses. Yes. No, you're not going to redraw it for me? Come on. Stop fucking with me. What the fuck? It's like, nope, you're not allowed to look. Come on, dude. It's annoying, but okay. Calculate, Blaze. Nicholas! What the fuck's going on? Ah! Oh my gosh, it's still doing it. This is weird. It's like, nope, you're not allowed to know. Rude. Okay, one more time. One more time, and if it doesn't work, I'm just going to refresh the page. Don't want no houses. I want Placidus houses. Thank you very much. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay, got it. Sweet. You, my friend, are a Taurus rising. Nice. Oh, that's so fun. Okay. So, Nicholas, you're a Taurus rising. Oh, really? That's fucking cool. That's super cool. Oh, there's some really fun syncs happening in the chat. I like it. What's up, Crypto Tales? We're looking at people's charts now. Okay, so Nicholas, you have a Taurus rising, right? So the chart ruler for you is Venus, and you have Venus right on almost exact conjunction with Pluto in the 6th house in Libra. So that's interesting. That's really fascinating. This gives you a fairly intense personality, and also we now know Moon is in Sagittarius. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, so what we say about the chart ruler, right? So the ruler of the 1st house, what house it's in and what sign it's in is where you tend to spend the majority of your energy. It's what a lot of your focus is. And for you in the 6th house, this has to do with your day-to-day routine, your service to others, what kind of work you dedicate yourself to. So again, work can be seen in two places: your career objectives, your goals, your public image, the highest reaches that you'll reach in your career are the 10th house. Fame can be seen from the 10th house, but your day-to-day service, your routine, the mundane tasks, the tedious stuff that you have to do every single day, that's the 6th house. So work is also 6th house. So anyway, you have a lot of energy focused here. Like I said before, you have a stellium in Libra. So the relationships that you create in workspaces, the people that you consider to be workmates, all of these things, these people have a big impact on your life, and you dedicate a lot of time to being of service to others. So that's really cool, actually. You are super intense. Word. You are super intense. And you got your vertex there as well. That's really cool. But yeah, so personally, I think having Pluto on top of your chart ruler is like, you will experience multiple transformations in your life where you'll think you are one thing and then experience something where you end up just changing completely, which is not a bad thing. That's actually what you're meant to be doing, is changing completely. And actually, the how your work looks is probably going to change and fluctuate dramatically as well. But I think it's also like, it's really important also to talk about the rest of the planets here. And actually, I'm really curious now, what degree the full moon will be right in here, right in between your Jupiter and vertex. It'll be at 16 degrees. So you can see, sorry, let me zoom in. You can see Jupiter's at 12 degrees. Vertex is at 19 degrees. So the full moon will be smack dab right in the middle of these two right there. So for you, the full moon this week on the 5th, on Wednesday night, will be really highlighting the 6/12 axis for you. So it'll be bringing up a lot of stuff about like how much time and energy you dedicate to other people. And if you have, I mean, how are you feeling? Are you feeling healthy? Good. Keep it up. Actually, let me just pull it up so you can see it. Oh, this is so exciting. Change, spoken like a true chart ruler conjunct Pluto person. Facts. Oh man. Oh my gosh, it's loading so slow. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll just talk while it's loading. So anyway, we've had this Jupiter transit through your 12th house. So again, would not be surprised if you were experiencing some really intense dreams right now. Or if, you've been spending a little bit more time doing something in the background, right? That can be the 12th house. It's just doing something in the background that's a little bit more hidden that, other people might not necessarily see. Yeah, that's wild. Considering, I mean, while we're on Pluto, and since Pluto's right on top of your south node, I'll talk about him too. So naturally, you are already what they consider a plutonic individual, right? So this is someone that has a strong Pluto in their chart. Now, sixth house specifically isn't necessarily a really strong Pluto placement, but he's right on top of your chart ruler, so it is significant. We just had Pluto change signs, and it's right on top of your south node. South node talks about our past life experiences, where we're coming from. It's also like this drain, where the south node is in our chart. So I guess I'll start with that, right? Where the south node is in your chart, you have a north node and you have a south node. They operate together. They're never isolated or separate. They have to be interpreted together. Okay, so the north node is what you're developing in this lifetime. It's something new that you might not be as familiar with. And yes, it is important that the node is right next to Mars. That definitely colors the interpretation for sure, in Leo. So that's fun. But anyway, north node is what you're developing. So specifically in the fourth house, you're learning how to put down roots. You're diving into your ancestry, bravely, might I add, diving into your ancestry, learning about what it is to be dedicated to the home or to family. Having South Node in the 10th house, I will admit, can be sometimes challenging for people, especially in the culture that we live in, because the South Node, while it's very comfortable and it's easy to do South Node activities, so in this case, work or career, at the same time, it can feel really draining if we go too far into the South Node and we're there too often. So how that's challenging as well with South Node in the 10th house, it can be like when you go and pay a lot of attention to career goals and stuff, it can feel like you're drained, or like it's comfortable to do that, it's easy to do that, but at the same time it's like you've been there, done that, and it's like you don't have any energy or time or just bandwidth to deal with like office politics or anything like that. It's like, no, fuck that. I'd rather just be at home and do my own thing and maybe homestead or do something for myself. That's not weird, Shannon. I think everybody does that. Yeah, but anyway, so Mars on the North Node. So the North Node, or Rahu, as the Indian astrologers call it, Rahu brings this incredibly hungry and obsessive energy. It's the way to think about it is the North Node and the South Node are two parts of a decapitated fucking dragon. Okay, the North Node is his head, the South Node is his body. So a head that's hungry, that's obsessive, that wants to eat everything that it comes in touch with, but it has no body. It doesn't know when it's satiated. It doesn't know when it's full, so it'll keep eating. That's the North Node energy. And the South Node, well, it has no head. It can't see what's going on. It can't. It's literally about purging rather than taking in new stuff. Now, that does not mean that you should not pay attention to your South Node or do the things that are related to your South Node. Obviously, if you didn't pay attention to work or to your career at all, well, you'd be homeless, right? And how can you root down and have roots and have a family and have a home if you don't have a means to pay for it, right? So there's this interesting balance that has to be struck between your North and your South Node. Furthermore, the South Node contains gifts, right? If we're talking about something that's related to your past life, then you have gifts that came from previous experiences. You do know how to take responsibility. You do know how to step up to the plate. You do know how to set career goals for yourself or goals for yourself in general. It's just that it's not necessarily a fun thing to do, especially being in Aquarius. Whereas what you're learning to develop is, ironically, with it being in Leo, it's like you're developing confidence, you're developing and have this hungry energy for that. Almost like Leo can be the stage, or artistry, or royalty, regalness, regality, regalness. I'm not sure how to make that a word, but but things that are regal in nature, royal in nature. So anytime you see like North Node in Leo, regardless of the house, it's about developing your own self-confidence, right? And with Mars there, it adds a lot of energy and drive and passion and motivation. So it's really interesting. If we were in a one-on-one consultation, I would ask you about, like, have you done work to look into your family lineage, right? Have you how comfortable are you looking at family patterns, right? So the fourth house can be your ancestry and the things that we the things that we bury about our family, like our family secrets and stuff. Like literally, it can be quite literally things that we bury. So I would also be really curious, like, have you ever dug anything up? Yeah. So anyway, really, really fun. Let's go back to transits with Pluto right on top of the South Node. What that could do for you is, I mean, it's really, honestly, it's a very subtle transit. Okay. It's not going to be something super obvious right away. And this is going to be something that will build, and a transition and a change that will take place over a long period of time, while Pluto does this little crypt walk over that point, over that degree. Now, you have already been experiencing some big changes in this area of life, because we had the Jupiter Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius, right? December 21st, 2021. We had that conjunction right on top of here. So there was already some big changes and shifts and things happening for you, in regards to how you see yourself in your career, but also like past events or past karmic contracts. Oh shit, I just opened up a whole bunch of random stuff. Past karmic contracts coming up, either like for renewal, or basically just the universe sending you different events that it's like, hey, have you learned this lesson yet? Have you learned this lesson yet? How about this one? It's like the same thing, but over and over again in slightly different forms. Oh, you've dug stuff up. I bet you have. Anyway, so this is nothing to be afraid of, right? Having a major heavy hitter like Pluto over top of a node, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's not like it's going to cause any sudden crises unless you are resistant to change. But considering you're already a very Plutonic person, and you literally said change is the only constant in the universe, I'm more than confident that whatever changes come about because of this, that you'll be able to handle with grace, right? That's the key word there, with grace. Okay, so yeah, that's fun. Okay, I want to roll it to the full moon just to show you guys another example. Oh man, you're going through a Jupiter opposition right now. That's fun. So that's the halfway point before your next Jupiter return. So with Jupiter, we're talking about we're talking about luck and expansion, and specifically in your chart, Jupiter rules your 12th house of like spirituality, and your 8th house of like the deeply esoteric stuff. Okay, so here's the full moon. So anyway, halfway through that Jupiter cycle, I'll just finish that thought there. Halfway through that Jupiter cycle for you specifically is like you could consider it a check-in point. Like, where are you at with your spirituality? Where, with Neptune right on that cusp, that's wild. Where are you at with your spirituality? Where are you at with like practices like meditation and stuff like that? And where are you at with diving into the deeply psychological side, right? How shadow work, is that something that you've experienced or worked with? Yeah, just because of the houses that Jupiter rules in your chart, those are also big themes with the Jupiter opposition that I would expect to come up. Okay, so anyway, full moon for you is literally okay, I didn't get the exact degree. Hold on. Just put it a little bit closer. Like I said, moon moves an average of 13 degrees a day. So yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's right. You moved back to home. That's right. I remember. Okay. All right. So anyway, so the full moon for your chart, Nicholas, like I said before, it's activating this 6th house, and it's right next to your own Jupiter. So quite literally, this is like a check-in point for the stuff that I was already talking about with the Jupiter opposition. You might even feel like an original philosophy or an old school philosophy that you did have almost needs like readjustment. And it's like there's different belief structures that you've got, or different perspectives on your spirituality that you're gaining. And it's this full moon is like an opportunity to re-engage or adjust a little bit some of those beliefs and how they fit into your daily life. So that's what I would say about that. Yeah. So that was fun. It is fascinating, isn't it? So with a one-on-one consultation with me, you get it. I mean, I'll go on a bit of a flow like that where I'll just talk about what I see, but you have the opportunity to ask me questions and to dig into something specific if you want me to dig into something specific. And I can look at multiple transits if you want, or I can look at and actually what can be really powerful and important too is looking at past events. So this is something I've experienced just recently, looking up certain past events that I remember the dates of and looking at what the transits were and what the progress chart was of that time, because you can start to see how things unfold and how things blossom. So, for example, um, I've looked at with my own chart different when different family members have passed away, and when there were like I don't look at all dark stuff, okay? It just happens to be that was my mood at the time. I was just looking at like the death of family members and stuff like that. But I don't know what's really cool about it is you can see like how different seeds are planted that end up blossoming later. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Me too. I think that'll be really fun. Don't forget, if you want a discount, use the code eclipse20, which reminds me I gotta get that up right now. I do that in the background while we're chatting here. But anyway, so what's cool is you can look at these old events and how they have affected your chart in the moment. And I mean, I don't ever want to re-traumatize anybody, so be very mindful. Like if you come into a session and that's what you want to look at, I'm expecting you to be able to ground yourself and process the emotions that come up, because I'm not a therapist. Okay, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. So that's please be wise about the stuff that you want to look at. Um, Yeah, Stacy. Yes. That would be sorry, I got so excited, but but seriously, yeah, 100%, because like I said, there's seeds that were planted, stuff that was going on astrologically that is for a larger purpose. So that would be really interesting to look at actually. And I've found personally it's helped me to gain some closure on certain things, looking at the events astrologically. It helps give a little bit of distance from the emotional nature of the event to look at it like on a little bit more of an objective level. Okay, now I gotta figure out how to do that code. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do this when I'm not live. November 1st, 2020. Ooh. But what's your birthday? Yeah, and thank you, Nicholas. That was fun. I appreciate your bravery and just want to honor that you know, it can be scary to look at astrology, especially live, and to share it with other people, but I appreciate that you were cool to do that. So 7767. And what city? damn, like seriously, dude, I can't believe how many planets you have in Libra. That's so wild. I love it. Oh my gosh. Sorry, it's just taking a really long fucking time. I've seen it all. Not scared. Fair enough. Spoken like a true plutonic individual. All right. 7th of July. $67 times 6:17 p.m. p.m. 6 Pompton Plains. New Jersey. Yeah? New Jersey. Okay, cool. What? 7767. 7767. 6:27 p.m. Is that correct? 6:17 p.m. Yeah. Pompton Plains. So you're a Sag rising. Is that right? Seven 67, 6:17. Pompton Plains. Yep. Man, I thought you were I didn't think you were a Sag. Mm-mm. Oh, badass. Okay. All right, Miss Sunshine. Yeah, verify that. I mean, I don't know. Now that I think about it, you do give me Sag vibes, and you got Jupiter and friggin' Leo. I love that. I have Jupiter and Leo. That's really cool, actually. Mine's at 6 degrees, so your Jupiter is 2 degrees away from mine. That's pretty. Oh, AM. Okay, that's right. All right, fair enough. I was so ready to make Sag fit. That's funny. 6:27. Okay. This is why we double check. This is why we double check. Jupiter's not going to change, so that's still pretty cool. Oh, there it is. Okay. Damn, that's like High Priestess vibes right there. I love it. Oh, yep. So new moon, right? 3 degrees away. New moon happened right after you were born. So you were born right after sunrise. So the sun rose and then Stacy was born. That's really cool. So you have Jupiter in your first house. Dude, that's Miss Sunshine vibes right there, okay? Jupiter in Leo, considering how solar the sign of Leo is. So yes, okay, so this is a great example actually. So Stacy has a ton of energy in Cancer, right? New moon, so sun, moon, and Mercury all in Cancer, and her ascendant is in Cancer as well. And that little circle there with the X in it is it's called your point of fortune. Has to do with your physical, sometimes literally your physical body, and also like your physical possessions. Okay, but anyway, so you're a Cancer ascendant, right, with a lot of Cancerian energy. So motherly, nurturing, very caring, highly empathetic, also super fucking psychic and um, psychically sensitive. But the first house also contains some Leo, right? So while you've got this huge Cancer vibe, some of your first house is also in Leo. So there is also this super sunny, super solar nature to you, and it's amplified by this Jupiter energy. So Jupiter in Leo is like screaming of confidence. So a lot of the times you probably wouldn't have felt it, but people got that vibe from you anyway. And you can take this like Cancerian super mama power, right? And channel it into being a generous, um, sunny, high vibing individual, right? Even when you maybe didn't feel it. Now, what's kind of interesting is Jupiter doesn't really make any aspects. So and neither does Venus. They're kind of neither does Mars. You got 3 planets that aren't making any major aspects. So that's interesting. Um, yeah, so it's like those planets aren't talking to anybody else. Even though actually Jupiter and Venus are in the same sign, so they do actually share some energy. So they are in communication, but it's a 20-degree difference, so it's not a very strong aspect. But anyway, that's not a bad thing. It's almost like those planets and the themes associated with them are not necessarily like harder to access, but they're less obvious. Yes, ma'am, that was a new moon. That's a new moon. So that's really cool. Okay, so anyway, you want me to look at the date you were in jail? Girl, we should save that for a private session. I mean, I'll look. We should save it for a private session. So November 1st, 2020. So 2020, we had a massive pileup of shit here, and we had just had eclipses on this axis in 2019. That could do it. So I can tell you right now, while we're waiting for this to friggin' load, the eclipses on the 6/12 axis for you would have definitely touched your sun and your moon. It would have been really close. So that could have been one of the things that was activating your chart. Okay, so we're talking 2020. It's a couple years ago. We're just going to scroll back, and it's going to take forever. So I'm going to just chat for a moment. Once it's on the internet and it's public forever, okay? It won't reset your password. What you talking about, Shannon? You locked out? One more, two more. Just gonna take its sweet ass time to load. Pfft. I need some water. Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Okay. Did it load? Did it load? So close. 6 months. Let's go. Probably just should have done this in the first place. Oh my gosh. There's a button to enter the exact date, and I'm just fucking scrolling around. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Stacy. So Stacy, this sweet friggin' woman, landed in jail after defending herself physically against somebody else that attacked her that happened to identify as trans. And because she defended herself physically, she was thrown in jail. Do I have that correct? And then charges were dropped. Just so everyone's clear. Yeah. So a biological male self-defense against a biological male that was identifying as female. That's damn, girl. Damn. Whew. Okay, so there's quite a lot going on 2020 for you. Damn. Okay, so this inside circle is Stacy's chart. Outside circle, the orange, is the transits of November 1st, 2020. So previous to this date, there had been eclipses in the Cancer Capricorn axis in 2019. And then nodes changed signs, and the eclipses were then in this axis here, the Sagittarius Gemini axis. And honestly, that was really interesting to watch that go down when the North Node moved from Cancer to Gemini, and then we had all these lockdowns, and everybody was suddenly making sourdough bread and learning new skills for themselves, and reading and getting obsessed with social media, and not able to travel anywhere. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, sorry, distracted. Yeah. So there was this going on. So that's a lot. So Saturn had just crossed your descendant. So that's interesting. We just looked at somebody that just had Saturn cross their descendant and they're possibly facing jail time. I'm not going to say that is a pattern yet. Two is not a pattern. Not yet. I would need to see more people with Saturn on the descendant, meaning jail time, for that to be like something that I would say. But that's how my year felt like. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's a lot of energy right on the descendant. Okay. So the descendant, right? We're talking about spouses. Okay. So your spouse quite literally was going through a major transformation physically. Literally. That is so freaking Pluto on the descendant. I can't fucking even. So literally they went through a physical transformation. And there was some extreme power and control events playing out, right, through your spouse, right? Power and control. Why? Because we're talking about Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter. Jupiter will expand everything that he touches, good or bad. Typically, like this was before the Saturn Jupiter conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius. They were really close to conjunction in Capricorn, though. So obviously you guys know what played out during 2020 on a global scale, but individually in Stacy's life, this played out specifically within her relationships with her spouse, in her one relationship with her spouse. And it was an individual that was literally going through physical transformations, and there was extreme power and control stuff playing out. And they turned from someone that was in a contract with Stacy to someone that was an open enemy. So that's fascinating. Why it landed you in jail? Let's see if we can see that. So this is where the investigation begins. Why is November the 1st the date that Stacy landed in jail? So, well, the first place that I would begin that investigation, all right, what's the 12th house ruler, what's going on there? I mean that in and of itself is like not necessarily jail time, but it is definitely like you're facing off against an open enemy quite and then it went to court and all that stuff, and then he divorced them. So that's very obvious right there, that stuff. Okay, so a couple of the things that I noticed right off the hop as we have this really interesting Neptune opposition with Pluto and Uranus. So Uranus, like I was saying before, is like an impulse towards individuation, with it being right next to Pluto. So both of these are generational planets. But still, when there's stuff aspecting them, it's like that energy is lit up in your chart. So with this being death and rebirth and the need to compost and purge the toxicity, and with this being the impulse towards individuation and the absolute need for freedom, both of these things I just got major chills. Both of these things were triggered around that time, and it's like it had actually been leading up to something like that. So Neptune in an opposition like this would have been possibly creating like a situation where there was some kind of ideal or idealization, and then gradually the illusion fell apart, right? So that's a thing. And then as soon as the illusion fell apart, it was time to break free. And in order to break free, there was, outside circumstances that influenced that for sure, right? Obviously, literally, it was another person, and their actions and how you responded to those actions. Now, the violence part is interesting, right? So we have a Mars retrograde in Aries right next to your Saturn in your 10th house. So 10th house, we're talking about your public image, right? Your reputation, and authority figures. With Saturn here in Aries, this is a Saturn that is rather counterculture. Why do I say that? Saturn is exalted in Libra, and in Aries is considered to be in quote unquote detriment. That doesn't mean that it's a bad Saturn. It just means that Saturn acts differently. It acts in a different and counterculture way. And also kind of interesting to note, Saturn rules your 7th house cusp. So literally your spouse is acting out in a counterculture way. So anyway, so 7th house cusp ruled by Saturn. Saturn's experiencing a Mars activation that is literally about violence. So literally there was violence with your spouse, and that played out also with authority figures arresting your ass. So that is freaking fascinating how literal that is. Wow. Damn, dude. Yep. Whew. Now something else I'm seeing is again there's another kind of Uranus activation. So a double whammy of Uranus activations with your chart. Just like how with Trump there's a double whammy of Neptune activations, you were going through a double whammy of Uranus activations. So Uranus had passed over your north node and is now in a square to your natal Jupiter. So with Jupiter and Uranus, we're talking about the philosophy of freedom, the philosophy of individuating and of needing to be free, really. And then it playing out in fixed signs is also kind of interesting. This is the need to express yourself freely and express your inner child freely and your own creativity freely, especially since this is in your first house, is literally you. And with the Uranus squaring off, it's like you're bound to run into different things that are related um, to past life events with the nodes involved, different contracts that you've signed in past lifetimes, essentially coming up for review, basically. And this is essentially influencing you to break free and totally break away from those contracts and go on a totally different path. And it was like, because it all works together, eh? There's no one transit that operates on its own. And it's like there was certain events and certain things in a very specific contract that was related to this that needed to be broken first. And unfortunately, how it ended up being broken was through a very Martian Aries type of thing. So it's a really unfortunate that that's how it had to go down, but I'm fucking proud of you for defending yourself regardless of the consequences, because that is, it's what you got to do. Yeah, I know, dude. Fuck. Yeah, that's a lot. Damn, Stacy, thank you so much for sharing and for willing to be a guinea pig for this event. Like that's a lot of stuff. I'm sweaty right now. That happens. It happens when I do a reading and it's a good reading. I start sweating. It's sorry for that TMI, but there you go. Also something kind of interesting. Mercury was retrograde on your Mars, so that's neat. You got a Mars retrograde that's going to connect with your Saturn again. So it's like consequences and karma and having to take responsibility for actions that were technically violent. But then also like you're getting news about it. And the news was, well, you're going to jail. And Mercury happens to rule your 12th house cusp where the North Node was at that time. So, wow, that played out so literally, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's a lot. Anyway, hi JLo. JLo can't stop herself from coming in and taking a look. Woo. Jail. Yeah, I know. We're talking about when Stacy went to jail, so you missed it. You missed it. Yeah, so now how do we move past that, right? How do we move past that event? I mean, in this particular case, right, just for the people that are watching at home that have no idea what the fuck, Stacy has been working on this thing, this concept, this theme, before this event took place and after this event took place. And I'm not going to share everything, obviously, because that's your information to give. But this has been a battle for her, right? A battle to reclaim her reputation, to reclaim her selfhood, her autonomy, her freedom, right? And that very Martian, that very Martian, Martian and Uranian battle played out in her chart in a very literal way, which is crazy to me, but also at the same time not. Like every time I get really surprised by astrology, I'm like, why am I surprised? Yeah, yeah, JLo. That's like my fucking specialty. Let's look at the dark shit. Self rediscovery. Who am I? Exactly. 100%. So, but yeah, so that's just a teeny tiny example of like what we can do in a session. We can look at different events and what went down astrologically and what kind of seeds were planted. And like now moving forward, like obviously the planets are different now. Like if we go back to present day, there's got to be a button for that. I would like to go back to today. If we were go back to present day, or actually, you know what? The eclipse is coming up in the Taurus or the Aries Libra axis. Some of these themes might come back up again for you to revisit the who am I and who am I in relationship, and like how does that relate to your home life versus your public life, that kind of stuff. I have to be very, very careful about what I say, so I'm not taken down, okay? But um, mental illness is really sad to watch unfold. I'll just say that. Okay, so anyway, 2022, and obviously, if they physically attacked you, clearly they're not well. But anyway, so it is the 4th. The full moon is on the 5th. Yeah, a lack of willingness is so huge. It's so huge. And honestly, there are some people that have literally been too traumatized to the point where their brain literally is not able or capable of looking at that trauma. And that sucks. It's sad. It's really sad. Okay, so here's today, or here's the full moon rather. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, that's last year. It's 2023, y'all, not 2022. Oh my god, I'm missing like a year. I'm missing like a full year in my brain, I guess. Fuck. Okay, here's the full moon. So for Stacy, this full moon is highlighting what's going on at home, her family lineage, and also it's in a square to her new moon that she has in her own natal chart. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So with full moon showing up in her 4th house like this, and actually really close to her IC, it'll be a little bit further away than that. It'll be right here, right here. I didn't put the exact time of the full moon, but anyway. So that's kind of neat. So that'll be like, oh, that's not right. So stuff to do with your relationship internally with your own mother, or how things are going on at home, and where you're living right now, are and how you balance that out with work life stuff is coming up big time. And I love, actually, I already know. I already know that today is your last day in the job that you fucking hate, and you're moving on from that place because they refuse to honor your bodily autonomy. Okay, Aries on the freaking 10th house, you require that in a job. You require independence in a career. You need that. So yeah, good for you, Stacey. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, girl. Oh, looking for a bus, retiring. Let's go. Yes. Looking for a bus. Love it. Word. Looking for a bus to go cruising on your own, do your own thing, retiring. I friggin' love it. Anyway, that's really exciting. I'm excited for you, dude. But yeah, it's a big shift. It's a big shift in your life. And the square to your new moon is interesting. especially since this is in the 12th house. It's like you're being asked to face subconscious fears and come out of isolation almost. You know what I mean? Even though like the 4th house is, they say, a hidden house, it's a private house. It's like there's parts of you that are asking to be taken more privately or for that privacy to be honored. And then other parts of you that are like, fuck yeah, let's expand, let's go on an adventure out here. And that's Jupiter in the 10th. Let's live up to our highest and our biggest expectations and ideals of self. But at the same time, like, it could be triggering different subconscious stuff, different psychological stuff, different subconscious fears, basically. And you're just asked to be brave, right? Especially when Mars is moving through your 12th house and moving through Cancer, you're asked to be brave. Yeah. You're gonna kidnap me, shit. Going to jail again, Stacy. Going to jail again. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You crack me up, dude. You crack me up. But yeah, all of that pressure that was on your 7th house cusp is gone now. So it's like the pressure has been relieved. Now you can go and do other things. And also check this the fuck out. Okay, hold on. I gotta get the exact time. This is not correct. Cashing out retirement funds. Literally, we got the point of fortune for this moment conjunct Saturn, but this is not the correct time. That's for tomorrow. So hold on. Going back to today. What time is it there right now? What time is that in Utah? I know you're not in Utah now, or you're not in Utah. New Jersey. What time would it be in New Jersey? That's pretty close, actually. Okay, point of fortune's not quite there. Okay, never mind. I was going to say something about the point of fortune in Saturn, but it's not correct. That's fine. Yeah. Anyway, Stacy. Yeah, you're in Cali, but I have the chart set to your place of birth. So, yeah, that's astrology, guys. I'm out. So yeah, really fun, really fun. I'm glad you guys were cool to hang out with me for a little bit. That was actually really enjoyable to do some charts live. That was fun. I hope you guys had fun watching that. Hope you learned something. I tend to have a style where I'm teaching while I'm talking. I don't know. That's just me, I guess. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad you guys hung out. I'll definitely do this again, and I think I'd like to do this. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. I think I'd like to do this like donation based. This was a really nice trial. A trial practice run to see if I could do it live on the fly. Turns out I can, so that's cool. Yeah, we'll do it again. It's how we roll, 100%. I like doing stuff live on the fly. I think it's more fun. Also, I'm terrible at following a script. I hate it. I fucking hate it. So yeah. I'm like, script? Fuck your script. Yeah. Okay, yeah, sweet. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Appreciate you all. Have a lovely week. Yeah, so remember next Monday for Moonday Tarot to be at noon Mountain Time. So that's 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or we're in Daylight Savings Time now, so it's Eastern Time, whatever. What the fuck ever. Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. thank you for hanging out because that's the shit. I love you guys. Okay, peace out.